All right, folks, my sister and myself are up on my roof. We did this roof about 1.5 years ago, and there was a windstorm, and it really blew up a lot of the edges of her shingles. So hers is done. We're working on mine now, but Bet, can you flip that up? You see that, y'all?
That one's attached. This one's obviously not.
See how it's coming up? So we just flick them at the edge, and the wind comes from the south, so it's coming this way, y'all.
Let's pick up the edge.
So you see dirt under there, right? So we take this little brush. Sister will show that. Just clean it out.
That's it.
And then we take some Henry's right there on a tongue depressor.
About that much.
Yeah. Hard to see what they see. Yep. Yep. You're doing good. And then we put it under. See what she's doing?
The other thing, the top part of the shingle, try not to get all that everywhere because it stains it bad.
Y'all see what she's doing there?
Oh, and try not to get it on yourself.
Try not to get it on yourself.
See, that little bit that I got there will stay there. And
yep.
You try and get rid of it.
Don't try to get rid of that. It smears everywhere. Let it see this. Listen to this. Be quiet. It's remarkable. Hear that little tapping sound? You know that's up. Now, Bet, can you pull on that?
It goes all the way back.
Goes all the way back there.
And yet this one's, I wouldn't lift that one to put anything under it.
No.
This one's already.
Yep. So, you know, these are the way these shingles came. Shame on Owens Corning.
And Owens Corning has a Sure Strip.
Sure nail strip.
Sure nail strip. It's like a cloth fabric thing in there. There is no adhesive on the bottom part, and I really don't feel any on the upper part. So.
And again, when we were putting this roof on, there were multiple shingles with no adhesive on the top or the bottom. The sure nail strip was there you go, about that amount. The sure nail strip was missing. Poor quality control. They don't make things like they used to. All right, y'all. My sister just found one. See how it's barely flicking? We're not going to mess with that because we think it's going to hold.
That one's good.
That one's really good. That one's a little iffy, but we're not going to mess with that. You have to use your own judgment about which one you want to pull up. We're not going to pull them up if they're not coming up.
My guess is, from my experience with my own roof, is that it's holding really well, starting about here, but not at the edge.
Yeah.
So in a couple of years, it could drive it and pull it loose. Okay, you can see the channel on this one.
We're talking about the channel, which is the area between the two shingles where they meet, right there, y'all.
Yeah, and when you're gonna glue one,
we can't show them here, but when you're gonna glue one and it's up, you want to put the goop under the shingle and not into this channel because that's where the water runs, y'all. You don't want to obstruct that channel in any way. She raised a good point. Okay, y'all. So again, we're using Henry's, a little brush to clean it. It's really hard to see up here, y'all. A tongue depressor. What you need to do is, all right, let me explain. When we first did this roof, finished it, after we finished it, Beck was up here blowing the roof. See this, y'all? Blowing right along there. Damn it. Sorry about that, y'all. I got bad language most of the time. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my sunglasses. Okay, so what we discovered, my sister was up on the roof after we had installed the roof about 1.5 years ago. She was blowing the roof, and as she did it, she saw some of the shingles coming up the edges. And she started to check along the shingles, several shingles, and realized many of them were not adhered. Thank you, Owens Corning. So we had to go back. So what happened is the adhesive at the edge of the shingle, right here, y'all, did not adhere. And that happened on multiple, at least 30% of the roof was that way. So this year we had a pretty major windstorm about a couple of weeks ago. And my sister on her roof, the type of roofing she used is Certainteed. This is again Owens Corning, hers is Certainteed. She noticed that a couple of the shingles were up on the edges. And so she went up there and checked. How many do you think? What percentage, Beck?
Anywhere from 30 to 40%. had at least one little area that was against the prevailing wind, so it had lifted, like if the wind's coming in here, about 40% of these on this side I could flick
up so they weren't adhere.
And maybe of those 40 or so percent, 60% of those had adhered, where they had melded, but they had pulled away from the bottom underlying shingle, like the little tab had been yanked up.
That might have been the windstorm.
I had a tendency, if I could, on those to shove off anything that might have been adhering to the upper shingle when I put the goop there, because it made it stand up if I left it there. So that's up to you. If we find one, we'll show you that too.
Okay, so hers, we think a percentage of those that were up were related to the manufacturer's horrible job on not putting enough sealant or adequate sealant or failure in sealant or something on hers, but they're all stuck down now with the Henrys. And on mine, I can say with absolute certainty, because it was probably 107 degrees the last day we did the roof, so it was hot, that these shingles at their corners, at the edges of the shingles as you lay them, right here folks, so not in the middle of the shingle, but where a shingle ends and another one starts. Failure because Owens Corning did not put proper goop there, adhesive, they had a bad batch. But I can also tell you while we were doing the roof, we would find entire shingles without adhesive on the back, top or bottom. Dunzo, they were not good. So anyway, we're up here right now. We're going to get a storm coming in.
Yeah, I would add.
Becky's going to add
over
something.
the years, when you get windstorms, or if you have a tendency to blow off your roof with a blower, for whatever reason,
They may not hear you.
Dirt, just dust and dirt will get under the edges. Once that happens, they don't adhere very well.
Yeah.
That would probably start right off the bat when the roof is laid, but I'm not sure, but once dirt gets under and on the adhesive,
they're not going to stick anymore.
yeah, that's why everything, caulking, paint, Henry's, make sure it's clean and dry before you put it on, unless it's a wet
good point.
cement.
Make sure it's clean and dry before you do this. So what would we recommend and what would we do? If we had somebody else install our roofs, well, one, let me back up. If we had this to do over, realizing the catastrophic failure stuff we faced on the edges of the shingles, we would have been looking at them closely every day and putting them down with Henrys. That's what we would have made sure those shingles stayed down. We happen to have to do it after we finish the roof. But that's one. Or two, if you are having a roofer do your roof, I would highly recommend you get up on that roof after they're done and you check. And it takes a while, folks, but we use these nifty gloves. We get them from Home Depot or Lowe's, neoprene. They're great. They're cheap too, really cheap. They're like what? $10 for a pack of 10 or 11. You just take your finger and go like this. See if the edge is coming up. If it's coming up, it needs to be adhesed down. If you don't adhese it down, you can have failure on your roof if you get a high windstorm. It's just not good.
And if you're doing it with an ungloved hand, you'll wear down your fingertip pretty quickly. So then you can just take a little stick like this and flick it.
But you don't want to do this with bare fingers unless you've got awesome skin on your fingers, because you'll get calluses. It'll be right at the end of the day and you won't have skin on it. So that's what we're doing. But we just did this video quickly to let y'all know, check your shingles, or you could have an unhappy event of
yeah, because if the wind flicks it back and then breaks it here, then you're looking at a shingle replacement.
Yeah.
And you'd have to check YouTube on how to do that.
yeah.
Because
So
it's a little involved.
So we're going to check this entire roof by going back at each joint and doing this. Flick, flick, see if it comes
It
up.
doesn't take very long, but
It doesn't take very long. So we'll have a little system where one will go one way, one will go the other. But we think it's very important. Two failures right now so far. 2 different roofs, 2 different manufacturers, 2 failures. And we are not hacks, y'all. We give it everything we got and we're DIYing. So we would not have missed that. Plus, you're not supposed to have to put additional goop on these shingles at the edges. The adhesive is supposed to be on the shingle by the manufacturer.
yeah, when you roof your roof, on a warm day, it should be enough to, hot enough to melt those together and meld them, kind of weld them together.
Absolutely.
But if you get dust and dirt and shingle dust under them, then they won't. Or if you get I think our windstorm had up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts.
Mm-hmm.
And many roofs around here had their shingles blown off or blown
Clear
straight
off.
back.
Clear off to plywood. So, okay. So that's what we're doing, folks. We hope it helps. And Henry's, or whatever you prefer, there's blackjack too, or whatever you want to use. A tongue depressor, or a piece of wood, something flat, and then a little brush of some sort.
I like the toothbrush, but I had this, and so it works fine.
Yeah, you can use toothbrush.
Old toothbrush.
Old
Stiff
toothbrush.
brush.
Yes, stiff brush. Then a tongue depressor or a stick. But tongue depressor is better because it's flat, right? You have to put a decent amount. And again, my sister said, if you see this, y'all, that would have been some tar we got on it. Black stuff we got on the roof, we did the roof. Don't try to mess with it because it'll just
smears
spread.
it in.
So if you make a boo-boo, nobodycares.com. You did it yourself. You know, meaning you did a good job by repairing. All right, we're over and out. We got the roof on this side and the opposite side to do. So
now, right behind them, you might want to show what a bird does to your roof when they're picking on a walnut or
I seen it too, sister.
Right there.
You see that right there, y'all? A dirty birdie did that. Literally, a bird did that. They bring their whatever's up here and they go at it. So it's nature, y'all. I'd rather have a bird do it than a person.
It's a good reason to to put the goop on a little bit, as clean as you can, and then save your leftover granules or get some white crushed something, I don't know, whatever you have, because otherwise it'll be a black spot.
I think you can get some granules off of Amazon. You can get almost everything else off Amazon. But so anyway, that's a bird. Anyway, okay, y'all. We hope it helps. Those are our lovely vents.
I had 4 or 5 of these because my neighbor feeds them peanuts in the shell, and they take them up there and whack at them.
And for anybody who doesn't like whirlybirds, check those out, y'all. It's a great venting system. We put 4 on here.
We love them.
We love them. All right,
okay.
We're over and out. We don't want to bore you guys. We got to get to work before the rain comes in. Hope it helps.